They looked like the perfect couple. But I saw the cracks. They never fought. That's what made it worse. My dad loved in silence. My mom lived in silence. I was raised in silence. This isn't a story about divorce. It's about what comes. When do people stop being people and start being roles? I was their daughter, but also their emotional hostage. I stopped believing in love because I saw it rot inside my own house. Welcome to English Stories Box, where every story is inspired by life, truth, and emotion, all while helping you learn English in the most powerful way possible. Today's story is deep, raw, and eye-opening. Stay with us till the end, because this is not just a story. It's a reflection of many families around the world. If someone asked you to describe a normal American family, you might describe mine. I'm Sophie Blake, 21 years old, born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. We had a two-story house with a white fence, a loyal golden retriever named Max, and neighbors who waved hello every morning. My dad, James Blake, was a software engineer, steady, predictable. My mom, Linda, was a high school math teacher. Warm, reserved. We had routines, pancake Saturdays, Christmas lights, family road trips to Michigan lakes in the summer. To the outside world, we were perfect, but inside the house, we were something else. My parents didn't yell, they didn't throw plates or slam doors. Instead, they built their walls brick by brick, with silence. They talked only when necessary. Most of their conversations were about chores, bills, or my school schedule. I remember dinner tables where the only sound was forks tapping plates, the clink of a glass, the shallow breath of people who forgot how to be vulnerable. You don't need screaming to feel broken. Sometimes, emotional absence feels more violent than words ever could. As a child, I thought this was just how adults were: emotionless, functional, quiet. So I adapted. I stopped asking for hugs, stopped showing my emotions. I performed joy at school, with friends online. But inside, I felt hollow, like a character written without backstory. When I was 14, I got sick and stayed home from school. I watched my parents for hours as they moved around the house like ghosts. No eye contact, no physical touch. Just two bodies surviving in the same space. And I whispered to myself, this is marriage. Dad was never mean. He paid bills on time, shoveled snow, checked the locks at night. But he was emotionally unavailable. He never once said, I'm proud of you. Never asked how I was really. On my 16th birthday, I gave him a handmade card. He said, nice, and left it on the kitchen counter. Unopened. I stopped making cards after that. My mom was once lively. She played guitar, painted, danced around to Shania Twain. But by the time I turned 10, that woman was gone. In her place was a tired woman with graying hair in a tight bun, eyes always half-focused, lips pressed tight. She never raised her voice. She also never smiled with her eyes. She became the queen of I'm fine. I believed her. Until I didn't. I was 19 when I found out. I came home early from college one Friday. As I walked in, I heard laughter, something rare in our house. In the kitchen sat Mom and a man I didn't know, smiling, talking, alive. He wasn't touching her, but the way they looked at each other, it was obvious. She saw me, froze. The man stood up politely and said, you must be Sophie. I'll give you to some space. After he left, Mom stared at the wall for a long time, then said, almost in a whisper, his name is Eli. I loved him before your father. They were college sweethearts. Eli was a writer, creative, spontaneous, unstable. Mom loved him, but life pulled them apart. Her parents wanted security. My dad, James, offered that. He asked me to marry him. She said, I didn't say yes out of love. I said yes out of fear. I sat silently, trying to process the truth I never asked for. So, you never loved Dad. Not the way a person should love the one they marry. She said honestly. It hurt. Not because she was wrong, but because she was finally real. I asked Dad about it the next day. Do you love Mom? He took off his glasses, rubbed his face, and replied, "Love changes. It becomes something else. But did you ever love her?" He paused, looked past me, and said, "I respected her." I thought that would be enough. I wanted to scream, cry, punch the wall. Instead, I sat down and felt the weight of decades crash over me. My parents didn't fall out of love. They never had it in the first place. I needed air. I needed distance, so I drove to Chicago, where my cousin Eva lived. I stayed a week, didn't check messages, didn't answer calls. I just walked through the city, sat in coffee shops, wrote pages in my journal, and cried on park benches. For the first time, I was grieving a family that never really existed. One night, Eva and I sat on her apartment rooftop. I asked, "How do you forgive people for not being what you needed them to be?" She said, "You stop expecting them to change, and you start becoming what you never had." That hit hard. Maybe I couldn't fix them, but I could heal me. When I returned to Columbus, things weren't different, but I was. I didn't hide from the silence anymore. I faced it. I told my parents how I felt, how their emotional absence made me feel invisible. They both listened quietly, then nodded. They didn't deny it. That was the first step. They didn't get a divorce, but they started therapy separately. Dad started going for walks. He smiled more awkwardly, but sincerely. Mom began taking music classes again. I heard her playing soft tunes at night, quietly, almost afraid to be heard. I started healing too by acknowledging that my parents were broken people who did their best with what they had. I'm 21 now. I no longer believe in fairy tales, but I do believe in honest love, the kind that doesn't hide behind smiles. When I date, I ask deep questions. I notice emotional presence. I don't settle. Because my parents' relation taught me what I never want to repeat, I will build something better. If Sophie's story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. If you're learning English through emotional, real-life stories, hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. This is English Stories Box, where words become real and stories become lessons. See you in the next video.